We're used to getting all sorts of things thrown at us by Mother Nature in this part of the world, but this is about as good as it gets. About 21 degrees or so. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays like that throughout the day. And we've got a 20-minute plus 1 lap race to start us off with the Formula RX8s. Unlike the rest of the categories running 3 races this weekend, Formula RX8s will have 4 outings on the track, which will be awesome to see. And we have had them qualifying early this morning where Antonio Cafiso put it on pole, earning himself an extra championship point. And here's how the rest of the grid lines up. So it is Antonio Cafiso on pole next to Jackson Rice in the 37. Then behind them, we've got Justin Lewis in the number 50 and championship leader Matthew Boylett in the number 80 machine. He's got a pretty significant lead of 69 points at the moment. Can he get it done? Dominic Caminiti is behind him in 5th, and then it's Thomas Derwin, Ayrton Filippi, and Amber Griffin rounding out the top 4 rows. Then we go Liam Hall, Stacey Vickers, Terence Lewis, Shad Hessen, Jacob Marr, Ross Forbes, and Michael Starr in the number 8 rounds out the grid in 15th position, Sam.
Yeah, well, Michael Starr and Terry unfortunately got penalties in qualifying, so they would have normally been a bit more up the front, so we'll be watching them try to work through the pack. Jacob Marr is running my number 55. We've had a little bit of confusion for all the number train spotters. He's normally 77, but today he's using my number in an S Sport Racing lease car, of course. And just looking at the grid there, you have to say how good all the cars look. They're all immaculately presented and looking really good. Again, maybe the sunshine's helping, but you got to admit they do look good.
They look good, whatever the conditions they are. Love these cars. Rotaries are such a
emotional.
Brilliant part. And emotional, they are. They're just such an emotional aspect of motorsport where a lot of the time they're either outlawed or just piston engines are the way to go. Whenever you can get a rotary out on track, even just to listen to it, it's a treat to the ears, and they're brilliant at putting on fantastic shows as well in these. They look like 2 doors, but they're 4 doors, aren't they? They're a little bit deceiving with the tucked away doors behind, but they are iconic to say the least.
Oh, they've stood the test of time. You've got to remember they're over 20 years old now, but they still look sharp. And to hear them at about where they are now on the screen, when they come onto the track, flat chat in 4th gear, they sound amazing.
The racing's going to be awesome today as well. We're going to be off to a flyer with championship leader, as I mentioned, Matthew Boylett in 4th position. So he's got a little bit of work to do, but he is going to be putting on a show, especially around this Phillip Island, this fast-flowing track, which rewards being able to string together a really good flow around here. There's a lot of passing opportunities where you wouldn't normally expect them on paper, and that's part of the reason why we love this place. And you will not be disappointed by anything you're going to be seeing on track at all. So they're all starting to grid up now. I think we've got all 15 on the grid, I believe.
Yeah, no, it looks good. They're all there. They're probably just struggling a little to find their spots because they're not.
There does look to be one car missing, actually. It's the number 75 of Shad Hassan, which I can't see unless I'm mistaken.
Right.
But we've got a green flag. 14 cars are on the grid. The 5-second board is up, and we're getting ready for the first race of round 5 of the Trico Victorian State Series. We're underway.
Very quick start.
Great start from Cafiso. Gets a little bit of a launch, but number 50 behind them. That's Justin Lewis. Has a rib snorter. Gets up the inside as they go down towards turn 1. He's made it 3 wide, and he's already slung past the leaders. So the number 50 car of Justin Lewis will take the whole shot into turn 1 here. And it's the number 26 of Antonio Cafiso, our pole sitter, who slots just in behind as they all flow through turn 1 and into the southern loop for the first time. Then it's the number 37 of Jackson Rice sitting 3rd, and Matthew Boylett in the 80, our championship leader, still sitting there in P4. A lot of sideways action. Oh, there may have been some contact. I don't know, but the number 50's gone around. Hasn't been collected, but he is taking to the side of the track. So doesn't look to be any damage, but that car does not look to be running, and that is very unfortunate for Justin Lewis, my apologies.
Yeah, I think he got a bit of a tail slapper, tank slapper going there and couldn't quite catch it.
A little bit of debris falling off at the back of one of the cars there as the number 46 machine of Ayrton Filippi locks up on the run into Miller Corner there. They all slot through courtesy of our drone footage, and it looks like Lewis has gotten back underway. So no safety car, which is fantastic to see. We're going to keep racing here at Phillip Island.
Yep, no, he's moving.
They all sweep through Siberia as they head over the back of the hill in anger for the first time this weekend. So it's super close at the front.
I'd say that little incident of Justin's caused a little bit of a change of order at the front, but they'll sort themselves out pretty quickly, and a little bit of dicing still going on.
There's always a lot of chopping and changing over Filippi Heights as they duck into this over this Lukey Heights corner. That's a spectacular corner.
Here we
Let's
go,
take a look at what
replay.
happens. So there's Jason Lewis, the number 50 in the lead. We won't see what's happened there a little bit. They both get a little bit loose. I don't think they touched, but they both got unstuck on their own, I think.
Yeah, it looked that way, and I can't really lay fault there. I think it was just probably a little bit of too much excitement on lap 1.
Yeah, I'm hopeful there's nothing on the track there. I'd imagine there wouldn't be, but we'll keep an eye on that as they roll through that the second time. But as they take to the stripe the first time, it is Jackson Rice in the 37 who leads ahead of Anthony Cafiso. And then number 3, oh, sorry, it's Vickers.
No, it's changed.
Just the timing update. So Vickers, and then we have...
That's changed again.
That's Lewis and Terrence Lewis made his way to the 29. That's an awesome start from Terrence. They all run a little bit wide there. Jeez, it's all happening here at Phillip Island, isn't it?
Yeah. No, they're all trying hard, for sure.
They certainly are as they go through the Southern Loop for the second time, side by side there. Great racing all the way up and down. These are fantastic looking cars. And there's, as I mentioned at the top of the race here, there's just passing opportunities to be found everywhere. They're going to go grab your partner around we go here. Almost trying 3 wide into Miller Corner. Massive lock up there from the number 48 machine, I believe, and they've ducked off wide. So
he was having brake issues yesterday, so that's obviously come back to haunt him, and he's had to take the access road at Honda.
Yes, so straight off there, out of the way of everybody else, which is great to see. Good having all that runoff there as well. The race does thrash on up ahead, and it is still Jackson Rice leading in the number 37 machine. You've got a pretty handy gap in behind him as well now, just under 5 seconds at the last time they crossed the stripe. But this here is an awesome scrap down a little bit further in the field. So that's Derwent that we're seeing there.
Derwent is under pressure from Terry Lewis.
Yep.
And also from 52.
And the time of 26 of Cafiso is in that mix as well.
Sorry, Cafiso,
yeah. He's dropped back. There's the number 42 leading the way. That is Thomas Derwent. So this is the battle for, I believe, 5th or 6th position here. So scraps all the way up and down this Formula RX8 field here at Phillip Island.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right, Shad didn't get out, number 75. Shad Hassan looks like he was a non-starter, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see he hasn't got out, but we still have 14 cars on track, putting on a fantastic show. So, lots of close action here, lots of shuffling, as you mentioned. So, yes, it has been Thomas Derwent who's jumped up into 2nd position with the number 29 of Terry Lewis behind him. And then Matthew Boylett still sitting firmly in 4th, but he does have Cafiso all over the back of him as they go through turn 1. Cafiso is going to be very keen to get himself back up to the front of the field where he started this race, but Boylett does not want to let him through. He's got a championship to win this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. He's trying. These two were having a real ding-dong at the Sandown round, if you remember. They were all over each other, so shades of that again.
They certainly were. It was awesome to have these cars going around Sandown alongside the Trico Victorian State Race Series in the back here again at Phillip Island, of course, keeping it up. That battle's keeping nice and tight, but a bit further back. Lots of shuffling around. That's the number 49 of Liam Hall, making a couple of moves there.
Yeah, he's got a couple of spots.
Got his way past Stacey Vickers and Amber Griffin, so awesome scrap between those three for, I believe, 7th position they'll be racing for at the moment. So as they go through Siberia once again. I just can't get over how beautiful this day is at Phillip Island.
It is amazing. It really is.
Certainly is. So not a whole lot of wind blowing at this time of day, but there is still a little bit of a slipstream to be gained. These RX8s might struggle to get too much of a tow along the back straight, but they are going to be shuffling around. Keep an eye out as they go into the main straight once they get that momentum through the last corner to see how much of a run they can get.
Well,
now,
Amber Griffin is definitely trying to get some slipstream going there to stay with that little pack.
100%. And I reckon Matthew Boylett's going to be trying the exact same thing here behind the number 29 car of Terrence Lewis as they come onto the main straight, because he's got a lot of work to do to get up in here and get back onto the podium if he possibly can. But that's looking to be a pretty tough exercise here. First place, Rice, ages away. Look at the timing when it updates. 7.8 seconds with the fastest lap of a 151.22. He is braining them.
Sure is. Really put a gap on him. So the scrap will come down to 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and Caminiti has stepped up. Look at that.
Wow, he has, but he's also gone off at the onto the runoff there at turn 1. He'll be very thankful that they put that in last year for the MotoGP and Superbikes, because that's
saved him.
Come in very handy there. It's kept him in 2nd position for now, because that looks like Derwent in the 42 trying to have a look. There goes Boylett, much faster around up the inside there. of Lewis, so I'm not sure if Lewis has a problem because he's lacking speed in a massive way there. We'll keep an eye on him there to see how he tracks along. But yeah, you can see Derwent there in second, then it's Caminiti, Boylett, and Lewis, and I think that must be that's Kafiso, my bad, who's dropped back there a little bit.
So Derwent's got back past Caminiti, which is, we missed that, but that's Caminiti's best result to date, to be up this far, so he's doing really well.
He'll be very keen to keep that, but I can see that Caminiti is filling his mirrors on all sides of the car right now. Having a look around the outside of the hay shed, he's going to set himself up for a move on the inside at Lukey Heights if he keeps the car there. But Derwent is going to tuck back in front and hold on to that second position for now. So great racing between these cars.
Yeah, no, they're all really still trying, and Terry Lewis is there waiting to pounce. If he can, he's got ahead of Boylett.
This spot here on the exit of MG is always tricky for passes, but it's a great spot to try and line yourself up here for the back straight through these last two corners. Big puff of flame out the back of that number 29 machine, which Matthew Boylett we've had a fantastic view of, but I'd hazard a guess and say he's going to have a go at a slipstream all the way down this main straight here as they cross the stripe once more. We've just got under 6.5 minutes on the clock, so probably about 3 or 4 laps left at least, as they now go side by side, Boylett and the number 29 machine, and Boylett is going to go at the inside.
Boylett has pulled that one off, yeah,
back
very nicely.
Into that would be 4th position, I believe, based on the timing, because I think Caminiti's fallen off our timing screen because he's still there in second, but he's showing us 10th on the totem. So it'll be it's Rice in the lead from Caminiti. Rice from Derwent, Caminiti, as you can see, in third now, and then Boylett and Lewis. But Lewis is now falling into the crutches of Kafiso as well. So our pole sitter trying to make his way back up, gets into 5th position, and if he can stick with his crew for the rest of the race, he might have a shot of getting back on the podium. He'll be very, very hopeful that he can do that if he wants any chance of a go at this championship. There are a lot of points up for grabs, 41 for the winner of each race, and the margin at the front of the point standings at the moment is only 69 points. So the top 6 do still have a shot here in the championship of getting it done today, but for a lot of those guys a bit further into the top 6, there's a lot of miracles that have to come true. So we've got the number 35, Stacey Vickers, who we saw may have been having issues earlier, has indeed ducked off and is out of the race, which is unfortunate. So we do still have 13 runners on track, as this is the battle now for 3rd position still. No, this is for 5th position, going over the top of MG and through the last couple of corners as well.
So Caminiti dropped off, but he's got back on the pace. Terry's still dicing. They're all sort of having some strong and weak points on this track, and therefore there's a lot of passing going on in that front little bunch.
And the drivers will be spending a lot of time, I guess, learning what the guys in front of them and behind them can do, where their strengths and weaknesses are, setting up those moves a couple of laps in advance so they can make their plans. All right, when am I going to strike? When am I going to go? As we see, this is a little bit further back as well. This is the battle for, I believe we're looking down at...
We're looking at 12th and 13th, and it's exactly what you say. Mayer's trying to set Forbes up for a pass.
Yep.
He's getting closer and might be able to get some slipstream action going here.
You can see the 2 different lines. Forbes is trying to defend early as Maher has to go around the outside. He'll have to tuck back in quickly to get a slipstream if he wants any chance of getting past at turn 1. But it will be Forbes who leads that battle for 12th across the line. Is Maher going to have any bit of a chance here? I don't think he is. He's going to stick behind, and they're going to tuck right back in as they go line astern. So great racing there. Great heads-up defence from Forbes through the last corner and keeping that position all the way down the main straight. It's the name of the game here at the island.
Yep. Mayer's not giving up, though. He's having another look, but it hasn't worked for him.
Forbes is making that RX8 as wide as he possibly can all the way around this Phillip Island track. It's awesome racecraft.
It is. He's definitely got the wide body model.
He certainly does.
So Rice has still run away. Boylett's tried to catch him. He's moved up to 2nd. So he's disposed of Derwent.
Brilliant run from Boylett. He's also put in another fastest lap last time round of a 151.146. So he is on the charge. I'll be very keen to see how much he can chip away at that margin, which is almost 10 seconds at this point. Let's take a look. We were talking about Caminiti earlier in the number 16 car. Let's see as he goes into, this is Honda corner, on the number 26 car. Big dive up the inside, massive puff of smoke from the front right. Almost has to take to the grass, keeps it on the firm stuff, but loses the spot there. It's not the fastest way around that corner, but it is one of the most entertaining to watch, that's for sure.
Absolutely, but that explains why he dropped back the spot.
And this is what you're talking about, of these guys just throwing everything at this. You can see them ducking and weaving down the straight as well. trying to break the toe or make the toe.
Yes.
Kafiso gets past the number 42 of Derwent across the line there. So that is Kafiso onto the podium positions now. Third position for Kafiso. He'll be very, very happy with that after how far he dropped back earlier. So Rice still leads. Look how much that gap came out there. So it's almost a second that Boylett's taken out of Rice on that last lap alone. That is phenomenal driving from Boylett. He won't be able to catch him at this rate with the amount of time we have on the clock, but he'll give it a red hot crack, I tell you what.
And Terry Lewis, who slipped right to the back, has actually clawed his way back into the top 10 in 9th.
He certainly has. It's great to see that. The number 50 machine just ahead of, now in top 10 as you mentioned. So just behind Ayrton Felipe in 9th there. So this is the battle for 4th position. That is the number 42 of Thomas Derwent there ahead of our pole sitter in the number 26 car, Antonio Kafiso. So lots of scrapping here as Kafiso lost that spot earlier in the lap and is trying his darndest to get it back. He's going to be snaking all the way left and right around the back of him here, just all over him through the hay shed and through Lukey Heights, trying to set something up, as we've mentioned, just trying to flow the right line, have good momentum, and have a bit of a look where he can. Oh. And he may have unsettled Derwent there just a little bit, who's had to take it very wide on the run into Lukey. They're not going to be side by side, and Derwent is still going to have the line into MG. So Derwent's going to have to, Kafiso's going to have to tuck just in behind for now.
He's got to do it all over again.
Let's see what they do through these last couple of corners. There are going to be some very different lines here once again to see what they can set up. So Kafiso's already having a look up the inside. He's actually side by side already as they go into the final corner. This is going to be a drag race all the way down the main straight, but he's already pipped him. He's smashed him through that corner, just had a way more pace through the last turn there, and he's comfortably got himself up into first position with a gap, in third position of that pack, with a gap of a second and a half on that last corner alone. So just had so much more pace through that section of the circuit. Speaking of pace though, this is the number 37 machine of Jackson Rice, comfortably leading still with a margin of 8.3. Yeah. So Boylett hasn't been able to take that much time out of him at all. No. And he's looking very tidy in that blue number 37 machine with that day glow trimming on it. Awesome looking machine here, especially in the sun at Phillip Island.
The clock's ticking down now, so if they haven't already had the last lap board, it must be just about out.
It will be imminent, so I imagine Rice will come to the line to get the last lap board this time. So this will be the penultimate lap of the race as the clock reaches 0. So still got a bit of running to go. So we're not going to be shy of any action here for the next few minutes, so don't you worry about that whatsoever. There's the number 50 machine of Lewis we touched on earlier, who's gotten past Ayrton Felipe, so he's back into 8th position.
He does. He's got his eyes on Liam Hall in the white car.
That'll be a battle for 7th, so it's great to see the running there as they're going, and that's the number 46. Oh, Caminiti's off!
Caminiti's off.
Oh, he's speared straight off. He hasn't gone. He's buried it into the sand right in the middle, so looks... I don't know if it's stuck or whatnot. The sand doesn't look too deep there, but we'll keep an eye on Caminiti to see if he's able to get out of that sand trap and continue on. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 7th, as we mentioned. Lewis is all over the back of Hall as they go into MG, and Hall is defending very, very well, parks it right in the middle of the circuit, hits the apex, and is going to do his best to keep him behind, but Lewis is not going to make it easy for him. In that number 50 machine is Justin, so all over the back, swarming. He's already going to be alongside once again, and I'd hazard a guess to say he's going to get him done in this corner before they even reach the straight part. Although they are, this is a drag race that we're looking for here.
Absolutely a drag race.
Keep your eyes on the main straight, folks. This is the battle for 7th position. Hall on the outside, and Justin Lewis on the inside gets it done by the stripe, so he moves up into 7th position. 6th position now with Caminiti having dropped back. So there's another spot for him. He'll take that one to the bank. And the last lap board has indeed been shown to these drivers as they're flying past. So this is the last time around for race 1 here with the Formula RX8 in Trico, round 5 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship. It's the last round of the State Series, also the last of 6 rounds for the Formula RX8. So we'll keep an eye on the championship permutations as they go through. At the moment, Jackson Rice way out in front, still with an 8.6 second margin. Boylett, our championship leader, in 2nd. And we are looking here at Lewis in 6th position, who's making a pretty handy gap already ahead of Hall and Felipe in 7th and 8th as they go through Miller Corner for the last time in this morning's race at the very least.
Yeah, they certainly turned on a bit of action, didn't they? I think Caminiti may still be stuck in that sand trap, though. Doesn't look like he's got going.
Yeah, he certainly is. I can see from the comms box he is well and truly parked in the sand there, but the race does continue, and it will be Jackson Rice in the number 37 car coming around the final corner here at Phillip Island, and he will take the win and the checkered flag for race 1 of Formula RX8 here at Phillip Island. Clinical performance from the number 37 machine as he crosses the line. Gets a round of applause from the flag crew there and from all the crowd here up on the roof. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Phillip Island track, folks. Great to have your company. Matthew Boylett will extend his championship lead with second position there ahead, and a fastest lap once again on the last lap of a 1:51. Now, just there on the last pass there, so that is the number 29 of Lewis up into, I believe that's fourth position there. So Kafiso's come across the line in third, our pole sitter, and then it is indeed Lewis.
Well, that's Terry Lewis, who's
Terry
actually,
Lewis.
He's still a shot at second overall in the championship if he can bring home a few more results like that one.
He certainly can. The race for second in the championship is a lot tighter than the gap that Matthew Boylett has in the front. But, so we'll keep an eye on that as we progress through the weekend. We'll have another race for the Formula RX8 this afternoon. But as the rest of the cars cross the stripe, we've still got a couple more out on track, still duking it out, I believe. Last one to cross the line will be Forbes, and he's the last of our 12 runners still remaining in the race. So Formula RX8 race 1 is done and dusted, and the final standings as they cross the line is Jackson Rice leading the way with Matthew Boylett just under 8.5 seconds behind. Anthony Cafiso, Terry Lewis, and Thomas Derwin in third, fourth, and fifth. And then we have Justin Lewis making his way back up to P6. Great run from him, ahead of Liam Hall, Ayrton Philippi, Michael Starr, and Amber Griffin round out your top 10 here at Phillip Island. Darren Smith, what did you make of that race?
Matty D, welcome back to the commentary booth, mate. I tell you what, we give you a bit of time off. You just come back bigger and better, and combining with Sam and these fantastic RX8s, which we're hoping to see them in 2026 again, and I reckon they're pretty keen to come back and join a couple of rounds of the Victorian Series as well.
Got a bumper calendar of Formula RX8 racing this weekend, and it's great to be alongside Sam Silvestro in the box once again, Sam.
Thanks, mate. Good to be back here. I've got a few of the punters have messaged me and asked for some answers to questions as a result of race 1. Why was the order turned around and what happened? So just quickly, Thomas Derwin had some ups and downs due to a fuel delivery issue. Justin Lewis and Anthony Cafiso got themselves a little bit of a penalty because of their slight coming together in race 1, so that's why they're off the back, as decided by the category DSO. Dominic Caminiti, we saw him in the sand trap, and that's because he had a front hub collapse, which is a bit nasty, and that's what put him in the sand, because he was doing very well when we just before that happened. Stacey Vickers has a mystery problem that seems to kick in after a few laps and slows his car down, so he may or may not have fixed that. And Ayrton Philippi, who was also at the front, had some ABS issues, but also copped a little bit of a penalty for not doing a correct re-entry at Honda Corner.
There you go. So it's all changed a little bit since we last saw these on the screen. So what that shakes out to is the grid for race 2 looking like this. Jackson Rice is on pole position next to Matthew Boylett, the championship leader. And behind them, it's Terry Lewis and Tom Derwin. Then it's Liam Hall and Michael Starr on the third row. Behind them, we've got Amber Griffin next to Ayrton Philippi, as you just mentioned. Jacob Marr and Ross Forbes round out 9th and 10th. And then the drivers that we touched on just there from 11th down, who've all been given rear of grid penalties. Dom Caminiti will be 11th, Stacey Vickers 12th, Antonio Cafiso starting 13th ahead of Justin Lewis 14th, and Shad Hassan, if he can get down the track, will be 15th. Was there any, didn't have a chance to pop down and say good day to Shad, but because that car couldn't make it out for race 1, unfortunately. Do we know what was going on with that one, Sam?
Actually, Shad's my only mystery. I'm not sure what's happened to him. He may be having some unrepairable mechanical issues, but hopefully we'll see him back tomorrow because he's a fighter.
We'll keep an eye out and see how he goes. If he is able to get out today, or if he comes out, fingers crossed, tomorrow, it'll be great to have him on track. But
absolutely. But we're in for a bit of a mixed grid because we've got some of the fast guys at the front, bit of the midfield, and then a few more of the fast guys at the very back.
Very tantalisingly shuffled grid here for race 2 of Formula RX8. And we've got the last few cars in the field still trickling around the last corner and getting ready to grid up. So on your left of screen, you can see Jackson Rice, who was powering away in the lead, had a massive margin by the end of race 1, with Matthew Boylett having dropped quite a bit further back than what he would have hoped for, but was able to fight back into the pointy end, and now he starts in the front row. He'll be stoked for that, for his championship hopes, as we're just about ready for a start. Green flag is waving at the back. 5-second board will be up very, very shortly, and this is going to be a cracker. 14 cars on the grid here once again, so no Shad Hassan, unfortunately. A little bit of a wait now for the 5-second board, which goes up. So the anticipation is building once again. We've got red lights coming on.
Red lights are on.
These 13B rotaries, all 14 of them are spinning up. We're underway.
Oh, I think Boylett might have got the jump on that one.
I think he did. It's a great start from Boylett, but he hasn't gotten away with it fully yet because Rice has pulled along in second gear, and he's actually got a slightly better run on the inside line. So I'd hazard a guess and say that Jackson Rice is going to get the whole shot here as the field filters through. They're going to hopefully we can keep it nice and tidy through turn 1. Yes, they do. All through there, no harm, no foul. So we've got a great race on our hands for race 2. So Rice looks to get the lead there. We've got some side-by-side action all the way up and down. That's Michael Starr, who started P6. He's made his way up into 4th, or 5th, I want to say. So he's had a great run here. He's actually battling there with the number 49 for 5th position. So here's already 2 corners in. We've already got cars side-by-side everywhere. This is what it's such the great thing about a spec category like Formula RX8.
Oh, definitely some close racing, and Terry Lewis is in there. Remember, he's still in the hunt for the possibly second place in the championship, so he won't want to let go of those leaders.
Absolutely not. He'll be keen to hang on to that as much as he possibly can in the number 29 car. That is Liam Hall that we're seeing in the number 5 car. That white machine was very much getting involved in the action earlier today, as he's looking at a bit of a gap opening up in front of him though, so he'll want to be pushing hard to see if he can catch back up to those leaders, but there's a lot of speed in the cars behind him. Right now we've got the number 50 and the number 29 of, I think that's both of the Lewises. That's
yes, the two brothers duking it out. Justin has got himself he must have got a pretty good start, and he's certainly trying to get up to the front of the field.
That's Justin in the number 50 that was just going around the outside of MG, who's tucked in behind Terry Lewis in the 29. Now Terry has made his way alongside the outside there of Liam Hall as they make their run into the last corner. He's got a lot of pace, and they're actually going to go 4 wide. Liam Hall is in a Lewis sandwich at the moment, and he gets swamped left and right. They both make their way past him, and they're going to demote Liam Hall backwards. But back at the front, it is Rice who leads, with Boylett 1.1 seconds behind as they cross the stripe. Then it is Derwent, Lewis, both Lewises that we just touched on there, 4th and 5th, and Liam Hall in P6 right now, but he's actually under threat from Kafiso, who's just gone through from 7th. So that's put Kafiso, who was our pole sitter this morning, into P6, and has dropped Liam Hall back down to 7th, where he now heads off Michael Starr, Ayrton Phillip, and Amber Griffin for the top 10 spots. So a lot of moving and shaking already, especially for the number 50 car of Justin Lewis, who started rear of grid stone plumb last in 14th, has already made his way back up to 4th. It's incredible stuff.
That's a pretty good first lap. Can't help too much better than that. But as you say, Rice is hanging on to his lead. Boylett is at this stage not letting him get too far away.
Still quite close at the front indeed. But at the moment, we're still looking here at the battle for 7th position, I believe. Yes, this is 7th position, where we're looking at Liam Hall still holding off Michael Starr, and then right behind them, Ayrton Phillip and Amber Griffin's just tacked onto the back there as well. So a little bit of a train forming here, mostly the 49 and the number 8 car just having a bit of a scrap here, but now it's a bit of a 3-way battle. And drivers are still just, for a lot of drivers here, I think it's a bit of a learning. It's like there's still a lot of learning because a lot of the drivers here haven't really raced that much at Phillip Island. So every lap is they're taking more stuff on, especially with how changeable the conditions have been for the drivers who had running yesterday. It was a completely different beast to how the track is today, isn't it, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they had to practice in the wet, and you got guys like Michael Starr, who hasn't driven one of these cars too often, certainly punching pretty hard. Ayrton Phillip has been missed a couple of rounds, so he's back and tidied up some mechanical issues so that he can get further up the field. Rice, of course, is new to the category, but he's certainly not shy and leading the way. So it is really quite a bit of a mixed bag, brought about by the closeness of the category and the tightness of the control items.
Jackson Rice absolutely taking to these RX8s handsomely as he's been smashing it out at the front of the field. Still ahead with a gap now. Hasn't been able to eke out too much more of a gap as Boylett posted the fastest lap last time around with a 150.854. Boylett and Rice, the only drivers so far in this race to actually get laps under that 151 mark. So they are setting the pace at the front of the field, but Derwent in third is not too far behind. Gee, that was a little bit sketchy from the number 49 of Liam Hall there. Just got a little bit loose on the anchors there, trying to hit the apex into Miller Corner. Held it on, didn't lose any positions there, but he's not going to be feeling great about those extra few metres of gap that just opened up in front of his car.
No, I'd say he suffered from having one eye in the rear view mirror, seeing as Phillippe's filling his rear view mirror pretty closely.
Not just Philippe, he's almost got a 5-car train that he's the head of at the moment, so a lot of defensive work on his hands, but as you mentioned, the most important thing is just making sure you're hitting those lines and just focusing on the road in front of you, because if you spend too much time peeking in your mirrors and seeing what's going to happen, it is going to trip you up from time to time when you least expect it. So
that's right, and especially with the field being so close, you know, it's microseconds make a big difference.
That's exactly right, and because these cars are for a lot of considerations, they're practically stock from an RX8 that you would find on the road. There's obviously some modifications and whatnot to make it racing spec, but performance-wise, component-wise, whatnot, these are quite similar to your standard factory road-going RX8.
Absolutely, they're very much a production car, just running a production engine, production ECU. They've got a nice open exhaust to let them breathe, a nice open air intake to let them get air in, but apart from that, yeah, you're right, they are very standard. We're still running the original Mazda brake calipers, original rotor sizes, because they're a car that came out with some really good brakes, as you can see from Phillippi, who's put that move on Liam Hall.
Yeah, got that car hooked up really nicely through the southern loop in that number 46 machine, Phillippi. And he's popped himself up into 7th position, so great run from him. You can see Liam Hall in the background there, just really hanging the car out, trying to get the outside and find himself on the inside of Amber Griffin as they go through Miller. Bumping panels a little bit there as they get through there. Amber Griffin just has to slot in behind there, so she will still stay in 9th position, just holding off Michael Starr behind her as well.
Yeah, that was very close.
You can see behind them, we've got the number 35 of Vickers as well. Sensational looking car that in 11th place there.
Certainly can't miss it, can you?
You really cannot miss it. And he's almost like he's sitting back just observing what's going on, giving them space, and that is Derwent. That is the number. That's the number 42. That's Tom Derwent. He's had a big off there, as you mentioned, off at Lukey Heights. So the field is still running at the moment. A lot of the drivers who have seen that will be aware, and they'll be looking to capitalise, get as much passing done as they possibly can, because there may be a safety car pending if Tom can't get that car out of where he is currently stranded up at Lukey Heights. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, the race proceeds. Rice posts the fastest lap, and he goes with a 150.48, immediately beaten by Kafiso, who posts the fastest lap of a 150.20. As he smashes his way past Lewis there, Kafiso is on a tear in the number 26. Makes his way up into 3rd position. He's already up into the podium spots out of nowhere. He's been absolutely rapid. So he's just found truckloads of pace in that number 26 car, and he's unleashed it on this Phillip Island circuit.
Certainly has. Justin Lewis, though, is lurking in the background still, trying to make some inroads. I think that may be about the most pace he's going to be able to get out of that car, a low 51.
There's one of those places there at the Miller corner where he would have tried to see if he can have a look, but wasn't able to get much done. Now this battle's going to be a different story. Liam Hall's got a lot of defending work to still do here, but Amber Griffin isn't going to be able to attack too much because she's trying to defend from Ayrton Philippi on the inside. They're both compromising their lines on the exit there from how wide they've had to go in and out from the middle of the circuit there, so they've both fallen back quite a bit. Philippi, I think, has copped that the worst because he's dropped behind Michael Starr, and now Stacey Vickers has gone up the inside as well. So
I think
not
Philippi
the outcome.
may have a problem. He seems to be really slowing.
He does, actually, now that you mention it, especially here as they go through the hay shed on the fairly straight section. We've got yellow flags and the safety car has been called. So the race has been neutralised. I imagine this is still for Derwent, who's up at Lukey Heights, not being able to get the car out, and that marshal who just popped up on our angle there, right about where Derwent went off, would seem to suggest that that's what's going on. So Not sure what happened to Thomas there. He obviously ran off because we did hear the gravel being torn up. From what I could see at the time, there didn't look to be any damage from like that limited angle, so it may just very well be a case of he's just stuck in the gravel and not able to move the car. But in any case, Thomas Derwent's race is done. The safety car will come out, and let's take stock of where the field is currently at. So there is that number 42 car of Thomas Derwent.
Definitely looks like he's just stuck. There's no visible panel damage.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right. He's still in the car. He's probably sandwiched up against the wall and can't really get out. So this will give them an opportunity to recover that car and get it out of there. And with 4 minutes on the clock plus 1 lap, I'm hopeful we can still get a bit of racing in. It'll be a very short sprint if we do at the end of this one, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and our eyes peeled to see how that pans out. So in the meantime, it is still Jackson Rice leading the field ahead of Matthew Boylett. Then it is Anthony Cafiso ahead of the number 50 of Justin Lewis. His brother Terence Lewis is in 5th position, and then it's Stacey Vickers who's made his way up to 6th position, which is a great run for Vickers in the 35.
Yep.
Liam Hall is still 7th in the number 49 car, and then it's Michael Starr 8th in number 8, and then Amber Griffin and Ayrton Filippi round at your top 10. Behind them, we've got Jacob Marr in the number 55, and then it's Ross Forbes. Caminiti running 13th, but he hasn't crossed the stripe on our timing screens last time by. Indeed, he's only posted 4 laps, so we're not sure if Caminiti is still in the race or if he's pulled off to the side of the track somewhere. There's no indication that he's gone into the pit lane, so there may be a second issue with Caminiti which might have necessitated the safety car here. It may not necessarily just be to do with that number 42 of Tom Derwent, which we can see on screen there. So we'll keep an eye out, and I'm sort of peeking around from our vantage point up in the commentary box here to see if I can see, not a whole lot that I can from up here, but we'll keep you abreast of anything updates that we can find here. But yeah, in the meantime, it's the racing so far for this category, as we were touching on there just briefly, it's the beauty of these spec categories, isn't it, Sam, is when everything is so tightly regulated and there's basically not much room to move at all in terms of parts, specifications, whatnot. It creates a very, very good racing environment where the driver can come to the forefront, where they're not relying on the machine to get the job done for them necessarily.
So to back up what you're saying, you've only got to look at the top 3, and they're all in the low 50s, within 0.2 or 3 of a second of each other. Justin is not too far off that as well with Terry. So you're right, it is.
We're just taking a look out of our window. You're absolutely right. These are super, super close times. And unfortunately, the margins, even as close as the racing was, it may potentially be all for naught, as we're hearing word. We'll take a look at the flag post to see, with the clock counting down, if they're going to call this one or if they're going to try and get 1 more, 2 more laps in. But safety car board is obviously definitely still out, and the checkered flag is being presented. So that is race 2 done, unfortunately, so we won't see a grandstand finish to this afternoon outing here for the Formula RX8s, but we will see a finish nonetheless, and it will be Jackson Rice, 2 from 2 so far, well 3 from 3 if you include pole position. Oh, sorry, no, that was Cafiso got pole position this morning, and we've got the number 29 car of Terry Lewis, which is ducked into the pits and won't be counted as a finisher. So, but we've got Jackson Rice, who's won the race. Matt Boylett is 2nd. Anthony Cafiso is in 3rd ahead of Justin Lewis in the number 50 in 4th. And then Stacey Vickers, Liam Hall, Michael Starr, Amber Griffin, Ayrton Filippi, and Caminiti has crossed the stripe in 10th. So he has made his way back onto the track. And then it's Jacob Marr in 11th and Ross Forbes in 12th are the last of your runners. There is confirmation of your top 10 there. But as we mentioned, yeah, Tom Derwent was not able to get out of the gravel trap at Lukey Heights. And Terence Lewis, on that last lap, perhaps completely unaware that the checkered flag was out, has pulled into the pit lane. So what that means is, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but from a points perspective, that would be no points scored.
I think that's going to hurt him, because he would be probably technically a DNF, and so he'll score 0 on that one, which, yes, will hurt him on his points. We'll
keep an eye on that and see how the points shake out as the results are released tonight, and we'll be right back in the action tomorrow with more Formula RX8s. Antonio Cafiso starting from 4th position, as we've got a couple of cars who look to be shuffling around. That is the championship leader of Matthew Boylett, who is parked on the side of the road on the run into turn 4. Just got the car underway again, but that thing is not looking super healthy and has just stopped there. So we'll keep a very close eye on Matthew Boylett to see what's going on here, because this could have some very big connotations. Boylett hasn't quite locked away the championship, but he's very, very close to it. Basically, the only thing that would be stopping him would be something to go wrong for that car, and I really hope that's not what's happened here. So we'll keep an eye on, see what happens. But in the meantime, let's go back to the third row of the grid. Matthew Boylett should be starting from 5th position if he can get the car up and running again and get it circulated. And then it'll be Jackson Rice, who has been sweeping the round so far, from 6th. And then it'll be Dom Caminiti, Jacob Marr, Ross Forbes, Stacey Vickers, Michael Starr, Terry Lewis in 12th, and then Tom Derwent, Shad Hassan, and Ayrton Filippi bringing up the rear of the grid. But we could see a vacant spot there for 5th. The recovery vehicle's just taken off to see if they can get to him, and Boylett has just got the car refired. I'm looking at the commentary box window. He's underway again.
Yeah.
So
he might be right. If he can get to the grid on time, will they wait for him, do you think?
It'll be a bit of a push for him to get to the grid, and then it also will be a question of, will that car be good to go for the race? It doesn't sound to be like unhealthy or anything like that as it flies past our camera, so we'll keep a very keen eye on this to see how it goes as the rest of the cars filter through. They will take a couple of minutes to pull through and find their spots. And how do you think Amber Griffin's going to be feeling for her first time on pole position here in Formula RX8?
I'm sure she's feeling the pressure, especially with Justin Lewis behind her, because Justin, we've seen, is pretty brisk off the line. So I think by the time they get to turn 1, there'll be some jostling going on for sure.
There certainly will be. The last car is currently being waved onto the grid, and we're just waiting to see if they're going to wait for Boylett. He is going past pit entry, and he will take his place on the grid. So
yep, looks like it. Looks like he's going to come down and be on the grid.
Very, very lucky for Boylett to sneak in there into P5. It would have been just close to not making it to the start there. So he's just being directed around the side there, and he'll be forming up very, very shortly. Or he may just be going to take a spot.
Looks like he's been given a rear grid. There you go.
Right to the back of the grid. So Matthew Boylett has his work cut out for him, the championship leader, as the 5-second board comes up here at Phillip Island. So the revs in these Renesis 1.3 litre rotaries will start revving up, and we're underway. It's a great launch from the two front starters. Side by side, Amber Griffin looks to have plucked second gear a bit nicer than Liam Hall as they run down towards turn 1. Griffin has the position, she has the line, and she has a swarm of RX8s all over the back of that machine trying to make their way into the lead of the race, but it is going to be Amber Griffin who gets the whole shot into turn 1.
Yeah, you're right. She managed to get a great start, and she's holding them all off at this stage.
Just for now, because now Liam Hall in the 49 is up the inside at the southern loop and is trying to make a move there as they all try to go side by side on the exit. Little bit of contact. They go almost 3 wide there, and the number 37 car of Jackson Rice immediately finds his way back into the lead of the race, resuming his domination that he's been inflicting on this field all weekend in Formula RX8, and he's got Anthony Cafiso in tow in second position right now.
Yeah, we've still got some of the faster guys like Thomas Derwent at the back and Terry Lewis trying to work their way through. So it is very, very busy there. They're 3 wide and not giving an inch.
Matthew Boylett there as well, doing his best, and we're looking at the 35 of Stacey Vickers, who has Jacob Marr behind him, and then it's Derwent in the 42. Griffin runs very wide on the exit of Siberia. That car doesn't look super fast at all, unfortunately, so she's losing places left, right, and centre, which is not a great way for her to be starting her race, unfortunately. But
no, she may have a problem. She's really dropped off the pace there. It might have been...
Whoa, she definitely has a problem. She has one less wheel on her car. That has jettisoned on the one into the hay shed, shot off the side there. The car's throwing sparks and is going to be almost grinding to a halt unless she can get it around. But with the way that thing is looking, I would hazard a guess to say it's not going to happen, as we have some... Emma Griffin has pulled up to the inside, and a safety car has been called as a result. Yep. So the field is going to be brought right back under control as the cars circulate around the last couple of corners. I have seen 1 or 2 cars overlapping there after the safety cars have come out. So we'll be interested to see if that happens to come out of the wash, and if they were in the clear or what's happened there. But for the time being, proceedings have just been put on hold for now as the first lap comes to a close. So a bit of a turbulent start to this race, to say the least, Sam. But as we take a look at a replay here, so
it's crazy.
So yeah, there it was. As soon as she touched the curb on the right-hand side, that tyre just gave. And I think just because of how much she'd started slowing down in the last few corners, she must have obviously felt something was wrong in the lead up to that.
Oh yeah, there was definitely some driver warnings that things weren't right. There she is. She's safe and out of the car, which is great. But I'm impressed with Mr. Rice Jackson. He's got right up the front in just those couple of short laps and resumed his lead over Cafiso, Terry Lewis, Caminiti, Vickers, Derwent, Boylett, Lewis and Forbes. Mayer's dropped a spot. So there's been a lot of goings on there.
So from P6 to P1 in the space of less than a lap there for Jackson Rice. So an awesome start for the number 37 machine. And as they cross the stripe that time around, let's take stock of where the field now sits. So it is Rice who leads the way with Anthony Cafiso in P2, and then it'll be the number 50 car of Justin Lewis in third, and then Dom Caminiti running fourth in that 16 machine, who is looking to get back some valuable points for himself after his outing in race 1 yesterday. Stacey Vickers is fifth, and then we have Tom Derwent, and Matthew Boylett, the championship leader, has made his way up to P7. So as long as he can keep it on the road, he'll be in a very, very good spot for taking out this year's Formula RX8 Championship.
Yeah, definitely still in it, but I wouldn't like to be calculating the results just yet. That's going to be a bit tricky.
There's still a lot of permutations and points to work out there as well. And then behind them, it's Terry Lewis in the number 29, who currently sits 8th. Ross Forbes and the number
55 of Jacob Mayer is 10th.
In 10th. And you can see Amber Griffin there. She'll be pretty devastated with what's happened as a result of that, especially after starting on the front row. What an absolute roller coaster of a race it's been for Amber. So
certainly has.
She'll be parked up there, hoping that the rain stays off her at the very least, and she can watch the race from what would be a pretty cool vantage spot, I'd be sure. But
now, do you think she's in a safe spot that they're going to leave her there and restart? Or we can't really tell from here, can we?
I haven't seen too many recovery vehicles mobilised from my point of view at the very least, not less on the screen. So we'll keep an eye out. I think where she is there on the inside of Lukey Heights is not the worst place to put a car, because you've got everyone, like it's a long sweeping right-hander. Everyone's going to be drifting out to the right-hand side. So we'll wait to see what the stewards and race control decide to do in that regard. And in the meantime, we are still circulating.
Car has stayed out, so
yes, we are still
one more lap.
Still circulating behind the Waverley mini garage safety car, and it's a good opportunity to chat through some of the people who can make this happen, particularly TFH.
Yeah, thanks for that. We wanted to give them a big shout out as a category. They have been a fantastic sponsor for us. As you know, motorsport's not cheap, as they say, so it really helps to have a great association like that helping us out as a category. Then you've also had a lot of hard work put in by a number of people. Big thank you to Justin Lewis and also Stacey Vickers for all their work behind the scenes. We've had Ben with us this weekend as our category manager, and he's been doing a great job in getting everybody organised and trying to lift things to another level. So there's been a lot happening, as you say, behind the scenes. I don't want to be the person that has to work out the point score, because it is going to be very tricky with all these changes. As you said before, Terry Lewis was in with a shot at second at one stage, so I don't know if that's still good. He probably could have used a bit more race time to get a little further up the front. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a bit too much of a gap now, I think. It's still potentially possible, depending on the points. We'll have to see how it shakes out, but it would rely on Terry Lewis sticking very, very close to Anthony Cafiso in second position. So we'll wait to see how that shakes out, and we'll have a better idea of the points as we come through. But we have just got word in our ear that they are going to call this race early, unfortunately. So we won't see as much of the racing as we would have hoped, and they are going to be waving the checkered flag next time by. So whether this race is considered to be is counted against the points, or whether they end up just scratching it because there wasn't really a full lap completed under full racing speed, we'll wait to see. And you can see the safety car driver is keeping those cars well and truly locked in behind that Waverley Mini Garage, the countryman that's been rolling us around, courtesy of the Victorian Mini Club, who have been doing a fantastic job putting this event on for us here at Phillip Island. And I also want to give a big shout out from the Trico Vic State Race Series and the Australian Sports Sedans Association, who'd like to acknowledge their generous contributions from our corporate partners throughout, who, through their sponsorship of this round, have empowered us to provide live coverage of this weekend's racing live and free on Blendline TV. Because without the support of sponsors, we just wouldn't be able to bring you this action that you're enjoying, whether you're trackside or whether you're at home watching on the couch, wherever you are, in Victoria, in Australia, around the world even. So please support the sponsors who support us, and sit back, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the action coming through today, because there's going to be a lot of fantastic stuff coming through. So massive shout out to everyone who sponsors this and puts it all together for us, and also to the hardworking, the volunteers, the officials, all of those people, because it's not all just about money in motorsport. So many people donate their time and their effort to these race meets to be able to allow us to go racing, and that's been the backbone of motorsport at every level for as long as it's been a thing. So we could not go racing without the hard work of so many officials, flag marshals, medicos, so many other people. So take a look at that link there, motorsport.org.au/officials, if you'd like to get involved and find yourself in one of the best seats in the house, such as the person waving the checkered flag right now to car number 37, Jackson Rice, who finds his way up into the lead of the race and crosses the line to take P1. It'll be Anthony Cafiso across the line in second, and then Justin Lewis in the number 50 machine in third. Then it's Stacey Vickers, Thomas Derwin, and Matthew Boylett across the line in Ps 4, 5, and 6. Dom Caminiti's actually gone up to fourth. There was a bit of a transponder issue there. So Caminiti fourth, Vickers fifth, Thomas Derwin in P6, and then behind them Boylett, Terry Lewis, Ross Forbes, and Jacob Marr round out your provisional top 10, with Ayrton Filippi and Michael Starr the last of the runners. Amber Griffin and Liam Hall, unfortunately, were both DNFs. I didn't actually see what happened to Liam Hall there, because he was starting on the front row and we don't have track of him there. Shad Hassan, unfortunately, didn't take to the track either. So a lot going on in that Formula RX8 race, but
certainly was. They've got time to regroup and regather for the last race this afternoon, so I imagine it's going to be another interesting and exciting one.
Those two will be sharing the front row of the grid, with Rice on pole next to Cafiso. Then it's Matthew Boylett. If he can get the car around, he will be parking it on P3, followed by Justin Lewis in the number 50 machine. Ayrton Filippi will start on P5 next to Jacob Marr, and then Michael Starr in 7th next to Tom Derwin. Behind them, Dominic Comedi, Liam Hall in the number 49 machine we just touched on earlier, with Stacey Vickers and Ross Forbes in 11th and 12th. Terrence Lewis will be taking the grid in the number 29, not Amber Griffin, as she is done and dusted for the weekend. And we are just now waiting for the last couple of cars to end up in position. So we now have 13 cars formed up on the grid for one last trip around the circuit for Formula RX8 in 2025. The green flag has waved at the back. We are getting set for a race start, surely very, very soon. 5-second board is up. Number 37 on pole position of Jackson Rice. Cafiso on his right-hand side. We're underway at Phillip Island for one last time. There is a brief stall from the number 55 of Marr, but he gets underway. Everyone gets away cleanly. Everyone's gone down to the main corner here, and Jackson Rice has made a great getaway once again. But Cafiso has the lights ablaze in the number 26 and has to contend with Boylett on his right, who is just behind there and has to tuck back in the third position. So another fantastic start for Rice in the number 37 car, with Cafiso, Boylett, and Justin Lewis behind in fourth position.
Yeah, it looks like we might get some clean racing laps here now. They've all fairly settled into single file, but definitely still sorting out the pecking order. Stacey Vickers has been on the move from towards the back. Great couple of spots. Great
looking car, that number 35 machine from Vickers.
Can't miss it, can you?
You certainly cannot.
Any angle.
And they all jump on the anchors as they go through Miller Corner for the first time. Vickers up the inside of Michael Starr gets that move done pretty cleanly. And then it's Caminiti, Hall, and the number 29 of Terry Lewis behind them, I believe. So a lot of jostling as they're around, as the cars all shuffle around. The drivers will probably have paid a little bit of attention to the weather to see what's going on, but they do have the benefit of running a semi-slick here, so if the track does get a little bit damp, no harm, no foul.
No, they'll be right. Definitely an R-spec tyre, but Caminiti is not shy of going around the outside of people. He certainly has a fairly intent go at it, and it's paying off for him, as we've got a dice now between our two front runners.
Cafiso was up around the outside there, and MG couldn't get that done and had to tuck right back in. as the number 37 car of Rice swept straight through on the inside once again through NG and has already pulled a little bit of a gap there. But now we've got a great battle here forming for second position. Justin Lewis and Matt Boylett all over the back of that number 26 car as they come to the line for the first time. Yeah,
they're all trying to get the slipstream effect. It's not really, they're not really quite close enough, but they're certainly trying to get it.
Anthony Cafiso's got the go fast lights turned on as he's trying to make something happen here. That's Tom Derwent trying to defend from the number 46 of Ayrton Phillip as they go through turn one. A little bit of a wide berth there from one of the cars as well. As they cross the stripe for the first time, Rice leads from Cafiso, and then it's Justin Lewis, Matt Boylett, Thomas Derwent and Stacey Vickers in P6, and then we go Michael Starr, Terry Lewis, Liam Hall is in 9th, and then we've got Ma in 10th position. What we're looking at here is the battle for 12th place. That's Ayrton Phillip holding off Caminiti, and then now we got back to the front of the grid here. So little bit of a gap there that Jackson Rice will be very happy with there. Now, the 29 of that is
Terry Lewis.
Terry Lewis indeed makes a great move up the inside of Michael Starr.
Very nice move. The lap times are still pretty close, except for Jackson Rice, who does seem to have skipped away a little bit now, pulling about a half a second or more lead, which is a lot in this particular category, as we've come to see with everyone being so close.
I can definitely understand why Cafiso is so keen to throw it around the outside at MG corner. You've got to do whatever you can just to get in front of Rice. But that gap has actually come down a little bit at the front, and we'll keep an eye on that as we get back, because there's a great battle here as we look at Liam Hall just ahead of Caminiti here as well. So now these cars are cascading down. That's Stacey Vickers at the front there with Terry Lewis. So this is the battle for P6 here. Then you've got Michael Starr in 8th, Liam Hall sitting 9th, and Caminiti's made his way up to P10. So the penultimate corners here on this Phillip Island circuit. I was having an interesting chat to Amber Griffin earlier in the weekend. She was talking about the fuel pickup in these cars, and when you go around these long sweeping right-handers, the fuel pickup can sometimes be a little bit interesting because it's located on the left-hand side of the fuel tank. So one of the few modifications you can make to the tank is you can put a pickup of sorts on the right-hand side to compensate, but you're very restricted in what you can do in that regard.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It interferes with your overall weight. If you're trying to run a lower weight, you run less fuel. If you run less fuel, then you need that secondary fuel pump to pump fuel over what's called the saddle tank in these cars. And you're right, it can cause fuel starvation. When you get it, you don't just get it for a second, you get it for a few seconds. So it really can cost time. But most people either, as I say, overcome it by adding a second pump or running a higher fuel load and taking weight out elsewhere by maybe not letting the driver have so many pizzas the night before.
And at a place like Phillip Island with so many long sweeping corners, is so important where you don't want to be losing any of that momentum through a fuel pickup issue, even for a brief second. So,
well, even putting the fuel pickup aside, we do see a lot of changing positions here with those long sweeping corners, because if you don't get that entry speed, which obviously doesn't equal the exit speed, then somebody's all over the back here, as we see now with Cafiso and Lewis battling it out.
We certainly do. Justin Lewis has made his way up in the second position ahead of Anthony Cafiso, but Cafiso won't be letting this one go without a fight. Neither will Matt Boylett in the number 80 car, who almost, I wonder if he's just taking his foot off the throttle just a little bit here to sort of make sure there's no further issues. We'll keep an eye out and see how he proceeds throughout this race. As I'm just looking up and see that someone has ducked into the lane. I'll keep a closer eye on that in a second as this battle for third rages on. That may actually be Boylett who's gone into the pits. So
yeah, we're not seeing him on the track.
He has indeed ducked in. So Matt Boylett has packed it in, unfortunately, which is a shame to see because he's been so quick. But the race does rage on, and that will promote the number 42 of Thomas Derwent up into 4th position. But in the podium battle, it's a lot closer as Cafiso gets a bit sideways into the southern loop there. Very, very nearly touches Jordan Lewis there. They probably came within a millimetre of swapping paint, but they keep it nice and clean and tidy. And now Lewis finds himself on the inside on the exit, has a great run through, and will shut the door through Miller Corner, or through Stoner Corner, I should say. But Miller Corner is where Cafiso is going to try to have another look up the inside. Can he have a bit of a lunge? Yes, he can.
Outbraked him. Very nice driving there.
Great work there on those factory RX8 brakes. They're very, very powerful even for a car of this caliber. So we keep those ones stock standard for the most part as Kafiso slots back up inside into P2 in the number 26 car. A little bit of debris on the right-hand side of the track there. I'm not sure if it's come from one of these cars or from earlier in the category, but given its proximity, I'd say it may have been quite fresh, but there doesn't seem to be any concern or haven't noticed any yellow flags from our vantage point. So it's far enough off the racing line as well that it shouldn't pose too much of an issue. But a little bit sketchy there from Kafiso. Very, very loose. There's not a whole lot of grip on that top part of the track today.
Justin Lewis is certainly keeping the pressure on him. He might have been out-braked, but it's not over yet, as it looks like Liam Hall's also trying to harass Stacey Vickers.
Around the outside is very, very brave at Lukey Heights, but that is going to put him in the box seat to make a very clinical move into MG. Awesome stuff. Great stuff from Liam Hall. Gets that move done and moves himself up into 7th position.
Now, we've got a problem with Caminiti because he keeps coming off and on the timing. I think he may have a transponder issue, but he's definitely making moves there on Vickers as well, which will escalate him. So
he certainly is. He moves his way.
We'll get a corrected time.
It does also look to me that maybe Vickers might have dropped back a little bit there, but we'll keep an eye and see, as Caminiti is in 11th position now on the timing. So we'll see if that updates once Ross Forbes crosses the stripe, but he is tucked right behind Michael Starr, so that would actually put Caminiti in 9th position right now, and he's looking to push even harder. He's been very, very quick all weekend, has Dominic Caminiti.
He has. This has been a great round for him, as it has for Michael Starr, who's still fairly new to the category. Both these guys haven't had a lot of seat time in the category, so they're definitely both performing very well.
A bit of an indication that the visibility isn't as good as it has been this weekend, because quite a few of these drivers have the lights ablaze here just to give every little bit that they can as they tip it into Miller Corner once again. This is Caminiti having a look up the inside of Michael Starr, so he's on the charge in that number 16 car.
Yeah, I think he's got that one.
Well and truly ahead with authority through Miller Corner as they go into Siberia. And now we go back to the battle for 2nd position. So they go side by side as Justin Lewis goes up the inside into Lukey Heights and makes that move stick very, very nicely indeed. Doesn't even have to defend. He can take a very quick line through MG and power out of that corner. You can see how much the gap has opened up in front of these two cars as well, because they've been trading blows for the last couple of laps now, with Jackson Rice in the number 37 car unimpeded, basically able to take as clean a line as he wants with no cars in front of him, no defending to have to worry about. So that gap will probably be expanding out even further as they cross the line this time by. Got just under 5 minutes to go, so still a few more laps, and that is a shame for Matthew Boylett. Those ECU issues that you mentioned earlier, Sam, have unfortunately bit back, and that is race done. He's in a pretty compromising position. He's been able to get the car fired again, but he'll be wanting to get that off the track as soon as he's possibly able. Otherwise, we may find ourselves with an imminent safety car, which we would hate to see, because we've got an awesome race on our hands that we don't want to see interrupted. Kafiso is all over the back of Lewis, not letting him get out of his sight whatsoever. Rice has extended his lead up to 2.26 seconds, way up ahead of the field here, and he is not showing any signs of slowing down. But we've got some local yellow flags, so passing will not be an option here at Miller Corner. So Kafiso will have to be very, very aware of that, tucks in and tries to make that line as wide as he possibly can to maximise his run out of the corner. As we see, Boylett up ahead has taken right to the outside at Siberia. The white flags are out to warn the drivers that there's a slow car on the track, and Boylett is just very keen to just stay all the way out of this one and hopefully get himself to a point where he can find some clear air and either pull it to a safe spot or take it back to the pit lane. Such a shame for Matt Boylett.
Yeah, great thinking by him, though, to have the presence of mind to get out of the way and let everybody finish the race. That's terrific, especially when we are getting this real ding-dong duel between these two guys.
We really are. You could throw a blanket over them at any point in this race.
Yeah, it looks like there's another pass. Not going to make it that time, but he's certainly trying.
Lewis left the door open, gave him the opportunity, but Kafiso thought better of it and thought better to tuck back inside. And I think Kafiso's made the right call there, because he's still swarming all over the back, trying to find a different line through the last two corners here to get a good run of momentum down the main straight. And that's a massive crash for Caminiti. He's rolled the car. That is just past the exit of Lukey Heights, and that will almost certainly be a red flag. Yes, it is. This race has been stopped. that is a very big impact for the number 16. We really hope he's okay, and we'll keep an eye out to see how he's doing. And this race has been brought to an immediate halt as a very clear consequence of that incident. We only just caught the back end of that, what looked to be a frightening incident there for the number 16 car of Dominic Caminiti. So we'll keep you posted there as we see the recovery crews go around. The field come to a very, very slow run, and given the amount of time left in this race, I imagine they'll basically pull them straight into the escape road and call this one where it is. But yes, we've got recovery vehicles heading around basically straight away, which is great to see. And the field is slowly trickling over the line as it is at the moment. So, yeah, we will keep an eye on where that goes.
Definitely had a red flag, and the race is finished. The guys are crawling around to the back. So Jackson Rice has got this one in the bag, followed by Justin Lewis, Cafiso, Derwent, Philippi, Terry Lewis, Liam Hall. Caminiti unfortunately won't be a finisher. And look, the rain has just started to come down as you predicted by the weather map.
Yeah, it's not showing up too clearly on the screen, but it has just started pelting the side of our commentary box quite firmly. So the Trico windshield wipers will be coming in very, very handy for all the competitors here throughout the race. It is it's very not the way that we wanted this RX8 race to end, but it has still been fantastic to see them here at Phillip Island. And Sam Silvestro, my apologies. We thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box as the last of the field comes into the lane. So it was Jackson Rice ahead of Justin Lewis, Anthony Cafiso third, Derwin, and then Filippi rounding out the top 5 there as we see the last car of Stacey Vickers there just coming off the escape road.